The upshot of Kennedy's query was a long moral conversation on both our parts, and, in a way, that encounter and his pointed, searching question with its obvious personal meaning for him at that moment in his own life set the thematic tone for this book as well. The how, the why, the whither of our introspective journeys as men and women, as citizens, and as teachers of one another as we, all of our lives, no matter our stations or situations, hand one another along morally, the moral connectedness that matters so much in our minds and hearts. Here, accordingly, are lives of moral leadership, incidents in them, moments of them, chronicles of their unfolding, the turns of fate and chance and circumstance that visited particular persons, the responses they dared to make in the course of their time spent on this earth. I write in the documentary and narrative tradition, offering accounts of social or political or religious or spiritual or economic leadership, as it has been demonstrated, and observed by others, me included. The work mentioned here has taken me to homes, churches, schools, neighborhoods, soup kitchens, and offices in our nation's capital, a collective witness of moral leadership provided by the rich and influential and powerful, by the unknown and quite vulnerable. I have tried to bring out the qualities that make for moral leadership, qualities such as courage and idealism, and a capacity for effectiveness, an ability to get something done. The point of this book is to say what moral leadership is, to show varieties of it, to indicate how a range of individuals can bring us all up morally, can become part of a nation's moral fiber, a child, an adult, a person in politics, or one quietly trying to get through a seemingly quite ordinary life. Suddenly and surprisingly, we can become an example to others, or those others to us. They hand us along, become a source of moral encouragement to us, arouse us and stir us, move us to do things when we might otherwise not be provoked, and they have the will to act in pursuit of purposes we have come to regard as important. These are people whose acts, ideals, and ordeals, ideas and thoughts, whose affirmed visible commitments have in one way or another had meaning and worth to others, have enabled others to see their own aspirations and dreams brought to life. A 6-year-old child, Ruby Bridges, once put it well, I think, as she pioneered school desegregation in the South of the early 1960s. I have written about Ruby at some length elsewhere. She had no political, ideological, moral, or philosophical goals that she could spell out, but she knew to say the following as she reflected upon the consequences of her attending a previously all-white school against the daily opposition of a vociferous mob. I try to get there, and I figure if I do, then other kids might say they're willing to try and go too, and pretty soon it could be better for us here. This child had no specific notion of herself as a leader, but she did know something. She once declared, and she did place the resonance of that discernment in her bones. She placed herself, her life, literally on the line, and in the hands of luck. Moral leadership was something that she felt deep down within herself, and was willing to enact as part of her daily life. In 1963, my wife Jane one day wrote the phrase moral leadership on a piece of paper, her term for what she had seen and heard in the South during the Civil Rights era. Moral leaders, Jane had begun to recognize, can be people in high places, or quite humble people, can be of this, that, the other background, can be established in life or just starting out in it. In the following accounts, moral leadership is to be found both in high and low places, as back then she knew to remind me, and I try to tell now how such leadership works, how certain individuals manage with others, and to what effect. An effective moral leader, remembering Robert Kennedy. How to exert a certain kind of leadership, moral leadership, and be effective, get something good done. This was the lesson a group of us doctors learned in 1967 from encounters with Robert Kennedy, a lesson about how a moral purpose gets applied to the world in a practical way.